Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And greatly being in the association of you all, and Paramananda Prabhu, who's just driven in to meet us, but he's in the passenger seat. So I think, unless it's a mirror image, then he's in the passenger seat. Oh, and there's nobody driving. It's one of these automatic cars. Oh my goodness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. Well, it does seem to be that I'm always saying to the devotees at the end, I spoke too much. Please, you say something. So maybe at the beginning, I'll say, I'll try not to speak too much. Please, you say something. So here's your opportunity. Oh, Debya Shakti Revidasi, she's joined us here also. we can see her. And this gives us an opportunity to hear her also. Yes, Debya. We already heard you through your scripture, through your writing. And an example that by writing, by words, then expression, we can see the writer, see the heart of the writer. So I think, Dibya Shakti Devidasi, we're going to take this opportunity that you've joined us here on Zoom too. Please, a few words for us, back to basics, or even the other day I'm thinking, beginning of back to basics, which sometimes we have devotees, and yesterday also here, some people who never heard even maybe who is Krishna, they are here. And so beginning of back to basics, or any other BBBC that you might like to suggest, Dibya Shakti Devidasi.
I would like to offer you my Dandavats Maharaj, and I'm so honored to be here with all of you. And I would like to go back and find out a little bit about yourself, because I went through the whole sermons just in the last few days, sermons 1. And it says in the beginning that it's been collected and compiled by Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev, and edited by Sripad Sagar Maharaj and Sripad Madhusudan Maharaj. And I wanted to know, it was in 1988 when the sermons first came out. And then 91 sermons 2, I think it came out in 91. It was such a big deal. I remember when we got the book, it was like gold. We were like, oh my gosh, look at this book. And I wanted to know how Gurudev, how long did it take for him to compile this sermons, because it came out in 88 from Gurudev's talks and things like that. And then I wanted to ask you something later, if you could tell us a little bit about your childhood and your pastimes when you were younger, and how you came to the mission, because it's amazing. You're just holding you're holding the realm right now. You're holding everything, and we're so honored to have you, and your guidance and your instruction and your association is so wonderful and powerful and enlivening.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I won't say anymore, but I wanted to ask about sermons 1 and 2, and you were there and you helped out. How long did that happen?
Well, actually,
sure, it's such a beautiful, wonderful book. I just want to say one more thing about that book. It's so much about pure devotional service that when I read it, when I was, rereading it, I was feeling so discouraged because I'm not anywhere near this platform and I don't have these qualities. And I was just like, I was getting discouraged, and I said, just keep reading and keep reading and keep reading. And the more I read and the more I heard and read and heard, then I started feeling better and getting stronger and just feeling more enlivened and getting stronger. I think that's the nature of the transcendental scriptures, that the more you're in touch with them and the more that you read them, then you get you get more confidence in yourself, and that you can practice and that you can follow and that you can go on in this process of devotional service. So I was feeling that, and then it was very enlivening. And I said, okay, now I have to start over again and read it again. So I wanted to start reading it again. I think I just read Sermons 1 again and hear it again. I'm listening to you and reading along with it, and it's really beautiful. And I'm very grateful. The second one is read by, I have the translation from Tridandi Maharaj.
Spoken by Tridandi Maharaj.
Spoken by Tridandi Maharaj, yeah. So my dandavats to you, and I would really like to hear a little bit about your life a little.
Well, it's a big jump from Sermons Volume 1 to learning about my life. I was getting enthusiastic about answering your question, and then
Please do, Maharaj.
This jump came along. So we'll stick to the substance being the Guru Maharaj's message, Guru Day's blessings, and sermons numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, which came subsequently. So anyway, so you're tricking me to speak. I'm here inviting you to speak. Okay, so just a couple of things that Sermons 1, yes, I just wanted to make sure there was not an error in the front of the book, but it does say here clearly, collected and edited on the divine instructions of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Whereas I got the impression just now that you're thinking that it is actually selected by him, that it's collected by Gurudev. So that's the first point. It's collected and edited by Srila Bhakti. What did I say? Because I got distracted again.
Collected
and edited on the divine instructions of. So the history is this. Once upon a time, are you sitting? Okay, are you sitting comfortably? Now we'll begin. Once upon a time, in Navadip Dham, there was a great guru called Srila Bhakti Rokho Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. He founded Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And from around the world, after many years, then the Western world got to know of this great saint. Many devotees came to his lotus feet to hear the truth from the most expert presenter of that truth, the person living that truth. That is Srila Bhakti Rokho Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And there we found he's with his eternal, close, intimate, affectionate servitor, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. And in the 1980s, we came to the early 80s, we came to Guru Maharaj. And then in service, we are in the mat and then doing book distribution, doing traveling, doing different things in service. And then in 1987, then Guru Maharaj asked somebody called Mahananda to stay in the temple, to stay, be here and to assist with looking after the Western devotees. And this way, Mahananda was in the temple, and there was time, means after the festival, Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, which was then the main festival of the year, and Gaurapanima, but Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja and Gaurapanima were the main festivals. So then after Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, and then after some time, in the January, February time, you can say, then things become quieter in Navadip until Gaurapanima comes. And so there was time there were not many devotees, in fact, very few devotees that time. And then this Gurudev is saying how we should have, again, can't we make some book of Guru Maharaj's teaching? So Gurudev giving the inspiration to make the book. At that time, the secretary, Badrinarayan Prabhu at that time, then he engages us in finding content and typing out the transcripts on the typewriter. It's all done by typewriter in those days. Do you know what a typewriter is, anybody? It's made up of like 1,000 individual mechanical parts. And it is more accurate than a computer. Why? Because when you type, there is, interestingly, there's that extra time between the brain and the typing to catch your typo before you make it. Whereas on a computer, we tend to kind of rattle away very fast. So the typewriter does have its glories. Anyway, it also has its disadvantages. So then collected together automatically by hearing the tapes. We had tapes there in the temple, some copies of tapes. So whatever we had, which wasn't everything by any means, whatever we had available, then we're listening to the tapes. And so many wonderful things, as always happens when we listen to tapes, come out, transcribing them. And there was another devotee also helping with the checking. And then literally cutting with scissors. So typed out, and it's all typed out on piece by piece, literally cutting with scissors and using sticky tape, the clear sticky tape. Then we're taking the parts which are going to be the book. So because some parts are the book, and then some parts, some discussion with devotees, this, that, and the other. So some cutting and pasting, and then organizing the themes with paper, and sitting on the wooden bed in Navadip. The office that time was downstairs, the front room of the Paschatya Sevak Bhavan, the front room when you look at the building on the left. So closest to the road, that is a tiny little room. And in that room, then we're sitting on there's one wooden bed in there and one wooden chair. That was the office. And we had no fan. We had no fan for 2 years. And happily, just so that we know, Navadip really was very simple. But one big advantage of that is, of course, nobody will turn on the fan and all the papers will blow away. But we had them so sitting on the bed in the middle, and then all these papers around, and we're organizing the book in this way. And definitely learning what does copy and paste mean, and this, that, and the other. And then we produced first of all a smaller version of this book. And it does exist here and there. And there was one lady artist in the temple, Annapurna, from Mexico. You know her or not? I do not know. But Annapurna from Mexico, she was one of like only, I don't know, not many devotees, very few devotees who were there at that time. And anyhow, she designed the cover. And so the cover is hand designed. It's not done in Photoshop. We don't have, what's a computer? We don't have a computer. So she designed the cover, and her actual artwork, then we sent to the place in Calcutta where they take the shot and separate it into colors, and anyway, do whatever they do with it. And literally with Vidagdha Madhava, who you know, Vidagdha Madhava, we went to Calcutta to get the picture taken. And how was it done? It was like a 1930s movie or something, with the man with the camera and putting the cloth over behind him. And then his assistant is beside what is going to be photographed. And then the cameraman is doing Tin, Dui, Ek. And then his assistant throws a match into the carbide, which explodes with a bright light, and the man photographs it. I mean, this is how these very first publications were made. And Vidagdamadava, he was pulling his hair out, said, how can you make something like this? I said, Prabhu, this is how it happens. We're not in America. And anyway, Vidagdamadava survived. I think he was a bit damaged by all this. But anyway, he survived this and other things. We had a lot of pastimes together because actually he was my association quite a bit in that first time in Navadip. And he was, for some time, the only older devotee there. So he's got lots of stories. So we catch up on the stories of the world from him. Anyway, you talk about the book now. Okay, so then the book came and then it's printed in Navadip at the printing press where they put all the letters, A, B, C, cat. Got to get the C, put it there, get the A, put it there, get the T, put it there, and then this, and then the spacing and leading. What is leading? We are literally, they're using leading and lead, little thin strips of metal which go in. And so you get a wooden palette with the lines, with all the letters physically there. And then this is set. And then they make, okay, first of all, they make a proofread. So you get a piece of paper, put it on the top. And then first of all, they put a little ink. Then they put a piece of paper on the top, get a roller and roll it. And then that's your proof. That's the first proof. And then you will, we take this back, and Hari Charan Prabhu and myself were the proofreaders of that, and Hari Charan Prabhu. And this is by Gurudev's instruction too. And he told the Hari Charan, he has very qualified in proofreading. And it's true. He gets a pencil. Where's my pencil? Don't know where my pencil is. I was outside yesterday. Oh, here. He gets a pencil. And not word by word, letter by letter, he's going through. And in the beginning, that looks so, why, we can just read it and check it's okay. But Hari Charan Prabhu going through letter by letter. And why? It's the press. You can get, it's so easy to get an A upside down, an I upside down, and a C back to front. I mean, some letters, the I wants to read, the table and the cat. So if you just read the table and the cat, you'll be surprised. You can easily miss an upside down A, back to front C, and so many things. So anyway, I'm making this too long. I'm sorry. But anyway, you asked. So with Hari Charan Prabhu, the senior devotee, then we are doing the proofreading, and then you take it back with the corrections. So there we learn how to mark the corrections. What's the standard, at least in India, in Navadip, for marking how to do corrections? There is a way to do it. So then with marking the corrections, we get used to doing this. We take it back. They make the corrections. Then we have to proofread it again. And when they make the corrections, remember, they're taking out letters, putting them back. They missed a word, so they have to move everything down and rearrange it. So you have to proofread everything again. And new mistakes come, which were not there in the previous one. And so it's a long process. Anyhow, okay, long process to describe it. Anyhow, with Hari Charan Prabhu, then we prepared it at the printing press in Navadip. And so we're going to Navadip and back like all the time doing this. And then when the book was produced, then I was surprised, and maybe we were all surprised at how well received it was. And that was a soft cover, smaller book with the title Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1. And I may have I definitely have got a picture of the cover somewhere, but immediately at hand, that may not be possible. Cover sermons. Let's see. Here's a cover, but is it No, this covers the next edition. And then it was expanded, and maybe it says in the front, I'm not sure. It was expanded by Sagar Maharaj. He got some additional content which fitted into this, and he expanded it and made the very nice edition, which is printed on art paper. There was this time when like no expense was spared, and the message of Guru Maharaj is so wonderful, it should be presented very beautifully. And as we've seen in the cases of the Sermons 1, which was made all on art paper, like the edition hardcover, gold embossed, etc. Very nicely made, very presentably made. And that Sermons Volume 1, it is that book, yes, has beautiful pictures, like historic pictures inside. What are now historic to us? Oh, there we are, yes, this book. To us, then, they were just, the pictures of the temple now, just normal. But now when we look at those pictures inside there, they're, you can say, historic pictures. Hare Krishna.
Nice.
And it is, all of the books are wonderful. When they've got the blessing of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, then we must try to keep our attention in the presentations of our gurus in the way they want them presented.
Yes.
So this is some of our growing up, our childhood.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was beautiful.
And then, I think, Sermons Volume 2 came. That was entirely Sagar Maharaj bringing that together. And then I think, yes, then you are gold embossed, hardcover, very presentable, beautiful book. And then Sermons Volume 1, Sermons Volume 2. So these are all published from the mat. And then obviously the next book was Sermons Volume 4.
4. Oh yeah, 4. Yeah, right. It did come like that.
And Gurudev gave the titles of the books, of all the books that were made. Gurudev gave the titles. Guru Maharaj gave the titles in his time, in his direct presence in the world. And then for this book, which came in Guru Maharaj's time, this came when Guru Maharaj is present, is presented to Guru Maharaj also, this Sermons Volume 1 in its original paperback form. And Sermons, then Gurudev gave the title for the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 2. And then we're asking the next book, yes, Gurudev. Then what title? Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 4. Gurudev, we've got 1 and 2, then this is 4. Shouldn't it be 3? And Gurudev is saying, no, it will be Volume 4, because then Volume 3 must come. And Gurudev knew. Tricky Gurudev. And happily, and he said it happily, not like, oh, I must come, but very sweetly. And then Volume 3, it must come. Looking at us, of course, putting us on the spot. Hare Krishna. So, and the title is from Gurudev. And he didn't give the title in a moment. He deliberates the titles. Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion. And
Maharaj, may I add another question connected to the Divya Shakti Didi's question?
Oh, well,
since we're talking about books.
Well, I suppose you can. I was asking for people to speak something rather than ask questions this time. But, okay.
To fulfill your desire, I will say will be someone else said something. I have to say that every time and Divya Shakti is the book contributors. She had special affection and love for books, no doubt. And I also share. And while we're traveling, we're not having any deities or pictures of the altar. We always had books on the altar. Those were our deities. And every day we're happily doing puja, more full program, morning program, full evening program. So very happy to hear about books and how books appear in this world too. But here's the question: what was the consideration when a book was about to get published? I mean, was it whimsically decided by, let's just say Sagar Maharaj comes in and says, okay, I decided to publish this book and here it is. So what are the steps to get books published? Because recently we see so many books being translated, published, and some of those books not even mentioned by Srila Guru Maharaj or Gurudev, but published under the, either with affiliation to our mat or under the mat publishing houses. So what is the proper way to publish a book?
Well, we have the example of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. So everything is coming from them. All service is coming from them. What is the proper line of service is we will ask what is needed, or we will be indicated that it is needed. And so in all of these cases, and it was Srila, actually in all of these cases, in our time, you can say it is Srila Gurudev. It is his direction, under his direction, by his wish that all these came about. And so one thing is that Gurudev also, he disapproved the publishing of books, collecting lectures, because we know from other places, some devotees who you can say had appreciation for Guru Maharaj, collected lectures, they published some books, and with the name B.R. Sridhar Maharaj and from him, but Gurudev did not accept them. Why? Because they're coming from those who are not following Guru Maharaj's directive. And then some say, oh, but they were following because Guru Maharaj said, you will follow Govinda Maharaj or you will get out from the mat. So I got out from the mat, so I'm following Guru Maharaj's instruction. But that is not the spirit of Guru Maharaj's instruction. And indeed, when we hear Gurudev giving some description about that instruction or translation of what Guru Maharaj said, he used this word, which means I kick out, I reject, I send out from this mat. It's not, oh, you leave from the mat and continue. So the books that have come, then seeing Gurudev's reaction, I've not read them, not even opened the cover of those books, because Gurudev disapproved and not accepting. Then we need to hear from the devotees who live Guru Maharaj's instruction. We need to hear from the devotees who live Gurudev's instructions. So we need to get instruction and guidance from that section. So this is the answer. We saw this in the time of Gurudev. Actually, Gurudev's example for us is indispensable, because Srila Prabhupada, he broadly did so many things, and he couldn't give for every temple, the thousands of devotees who came, he couldn't give everything in that short time. And Srila Gurudev, he was very approachable, and with all of the wealth of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's distribution wealth and generosity wealth, and all of this, to the lowest section, and Guru Maharaj distribution wealth and everything, but within a particular section of society, you could say, in India. But Guru Maharaj's depth and the full span of the whole Krishna consciousness that he'd imbibed since 1947, and with the blessings not only of Guru Maharaj, not only of Srila Prabhupada, but all of the respectable godbrothers of Guru Maharaj. Then Gurudev appearing so straightforward to us, but really giving us guidance in everything. This book publishing also, and the scrutiny of the books, and carefulness that what will be printed, it must be very carefully presented. And by the way, Gurudev had a particular siddhi. He had many siddhis, but one was you may present a book to him that is, you can say, perfect. Oh, we'll not say you. He may receive something which basically the whole thing is perfect, except one line, and there may be 200 pages in the book. Gurudev opens it, and this jumps out at him, and he sees this expression. And so Gurudev was very alert. He was extremely alert, and he didn't want anything wrong being published or being said also. Hare Krishna. And he too gives examples from his own life. It's not that, oh, he's being a strict master, but he's from his own life. And he told that, he said, for a long time in front of Guru Maharaj, I was very nervous to speak, to give a talk. But Guru Maharaj repeatedly was saying, and Govinda Maharaj, he will say something. And so Gurudev is very careful about the content of his talks, because he said, I did not want to disappoint Guru Maharaj. That, oh, I'm misrepresenting his teachings. So this way, we don't want to disappoint our gurus by presenting anything wrongly. And we feel very sad if we find some mistake has slipped through. But some mistake, hopefully not sedantically, but some other mistakes must come when you go to the printing press because of, you all know, the ghost of the printing press. Hare Krishna. And if you don't believe in the ghosts, you who don't believe in ghosts, look at the ghost of the printing press. Recently, it was brought to our attention, maybe by Divya Shakti also, about Gurudev's disappearance day, when we were remembering his disappearance day fairly recently. Then the calendar that was printed from the mat's calendar, the wall calendar with the color, design, everything. Gurudev's disappearance day was not on the calendar. And you'd never have a day missed on the calendar. The calendar is always also carefully, everything that comes is carefully checked, double checked, triple checked, and then the go-ahead is given. But Gurudev's disappearance day, the actual date missing, wasn't even there on the calendar. So there. Sometimes we need some clear direction or understanding or something. But Gurudev, he knows ghosts. Gurudev is not talking from our plane, where on our plane and, conversations, or do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in reincarnation? Oh, cool, reincarnation, that sounds cool. Ghosts, oh, that sounds wonderful. But, looking from this plane, we're all trying to, debate things, trying to put them into our head from nowhere. We're learning about these things. But from Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada, Srila Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from their plane, they are giving us quite a different perspective. They know everything, what to speak of this world and all the subtleties of this world, but the upper world. Actually, not but the upper world. They know the upper world fully, and therefore they know the lower world. One who knows Krishna knows everything. What to speak of one who's an associate of Krishna? They know all things. Hare Krishna. And how wonderful that until today too, you see, the books are put on the altar as the deity, and the morning program taking place to the book, Hare Krishna. And we've seen in some of our temples, the Prapanna Jivanamritam being put on the altar and worshipped on the altar. But the worship of the books, yes, on the altar, but please do open them and read them again. Read them in the way that Gurudev gives instruction.
From beginning to end.
This is the main method of worshipping the books, Maharaj.
Yes.
To read them and then put them on the altar. Otherwise, how can you have enough faith to worship a book if you haven't read it? It will be just a show. There will be no substance, no real attachment, no real understanding, not even a drop of it. So, yes. We did read the books, Maharaj. I have to stress the point. I wasn't just worshiping them. The question is, did I understand anything? That's another question, but I definitely give it a try.
Well, also, if we carefully come and give our respect to our guardians first and really reading the book in service, then I have some hope that we do each understand something. And I have an even bigger hope that we don't misunderstand something. Whether we understand a little or a lot, that is all infinitely beneficial. We're not doing it for ourselves, my benefit, my benefit. We're doing it in service. But if we understand a little or a lot, that's nourishing, that's healthy. But we pray we may not misunderstand. And we pray that any misunderstandings we have, then our friends and the Lord and the hidden guardians, they can erase that misunderstanding as soon as possible, so we don't also share misunderstanding with others.
Also, there's that miracle that we always have to point out, that every time we read the books, no matter for how many years we read the same book, how many times we read the same book, same chapter, same verse, same commentary, still it is new and fresh. And I was actually wanting to ask you, is this an indication of that, for example, myself, I have such a short memory that I absolutely forget everything. So every time it's so new and fresh. Or we're actually making a tiny bit of a progress. So every time we read it, so Krishna, by the grace of the Vaishnavas who revealed that book, revealed those teachings, are actually showing himself in a different light, from a different perspective. So tell me, Maharaj, what it is.
It is. I'll answer with 2 words. It is. Hare Krishna. And I can say my days, earlier days, by the way, we are still ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The ISKCON of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what he wanted. So if I say ISKCON, please don't start making boxes of societies and clubs. We've never joined a society or a club. We are in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Okay, now I got lost now saying that point. Oh yeah, my early days in ISKCON. Then somehow or another, what in my circle that we were in, it wasn't easy to get Srila Prabhupada's books. We got one, we got another, and Bhagavad Gita was not easy to find. For some reason, it was out of print, or, I mean, in our area, you couldn't just get a Bhagavad Gita. And so we tended to have one book and reread that one book. And I remember one of my first books, and I found it very difficult. It was actually Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is probably not meant to be a first book reading for anybody. I'm not sure about that. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada, whether it is or isn't, I'm not sure. But I mean, it's hard work to go through that book. So with the exception, kind of thinking back, of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the other books we got, we had the book and we would read and reread it like constantly. And this would be a joy. And then, so that was our early days when we think, okay, there were so many books in ISKCON, but not always for the brahmacharis who are not paying for them. They're not always accessible to the brahmacharis who not only not paying for, they don't have anything to pay for them with. So whatever is coming to us is coming by the grace of the devotees. And Then when we came to Guru Maharaj, we didn't have any books. There was no book from Guru Maharaj. It was all personal. And then the Search for Sri Krishna came. When Search for Sri Krishna came, that was reading, rereading. Every class we would give, every class we're hearing, basically, it is from Search for Sri Krishna. So very thoroughly, like again and again going through that. And then came Sri Guru and his grace. And then this, one by one by one. But each book, we got this opportunity to focus on that book without being distracted. Oh, there's another book. I'm going to read that. I want to finish this so I can read that. Or I get halfway through and then read another book. We weren't even tempted in that direction. We had our focus at the time. So this is why also, Mahananda advises, please read a book 3 times when you get it. Before going to the next book, become acquainted with what you're reading. Hare Krishna. And we are getting something each time.
Oh, Maharaj, please check the chat because we have a question from Chintamani Didi.
Okay. And also Sevarupa Devidasi in Mexico is with us. Jayadev is with us. And Raj, Bhuvan, Jadav, Madhavi Devidasi is with us. And they're also sending Hare Krishnas and obeisances to the devotees. Hare Krishna. And in the chat, click. And I know Divya Shakti also. Divya Shakti, would you like to say something while I'm reading to myself what's in the chat?
I haven't read all the books. I'm not a good reader. And, but I can remember hearing a lot because when I was in ISKCON, we used to go through the Srimad Bhagavatam every morning and sit in the class. And some of the cantos I haven't read, So I'm just praying that, I can do the best I can. And, and just pray for mercy from Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. And, that's why I like to read along with you, Maharaj. And I have a hard time when I start reading, I fall asleep, even though, and sometimes I don't. Like, sometimes when I read the book, it's like, it just wakes me up and I just can't put it down. But sometimes when I do start reading, I fall asleep. So when I have the audio book, it really helps me to read and follow. Then I'm, it's like a double whammy. It's really nice that way, but I'm just doing the best I can, I haven't read all of our books, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get into it more, so. Anyway,
yesterday, we were together with some of our dear devotees here, Leela Moy Prabhu, Leela Shakti, and others in Brazil. And we did reflect on the point that Prahlad Maharaj, he got everything by the grace of Narada Muni. And he didn't have access to any books. He didn't have any books. He's in the womb of his mother. And also, he couldn't ask any questions. What was that you said? Oh, can you explain that? Why is Krishna blue? Why does he wear a yellow dhoti? This, that, and the other. He didn't have access to books, and he couldn't ask any questions. He's in the, you can say, the ideal place, if we may say so, like for hearing. Oh, I was hearing everything from Narada Muni and getting the grace. Narada Muni was speaking to his mother, but Narada Muni is extraordinary personality. He knows who's in the womb and he's giving direction. So he's speaking to Prahlad Maharaj in the womb like this, and very wonderful. So without access to books, without access to asking, questions that come to us, then
all the books, I'm trying.
We can hear and digest and practice. And by the way, when we're trying to do things favorably, an interesting thing was happening. I was listening to a class that I've not heard before, or I mean, I was giving attention. I wanted to hear this class. And we were driving. Actually, we were driving. Where were we going? We were going on Harinam Sankirtan. So on the way to Harinam Sankirtan, in the car, in the passenger seat, I'm sitting and I'm listening to a class. And I'm trying to give attention. But I noticed that when we're on the road, there are so many distractions we don't really notice that we get distracted by until we're trying to give attention. And then I found myself having to rewind like a minute to find out. Actually, I took my attention from there by seeing a sign, reading something, something's happening in front of us. So I mean, this is just maybe got nothing to do with any of this, but it is a little like reflection that we think, oh, we're chanting japa when we're sitting in the seat of the car and going this, that, and the other. And we think that, oh, we're chanting japa with some attention. Oh, yes, I'm not really taking notice of the outside world. But it struck me that how to chant our japa nicely, how detached we have to be. To hear a lecture nicely, we should try to be in some environment where we can give attention. So it was just a little personal reflection about how we don't notice how inattentive we are when we're chanting our japa while in the car, for instance. But when we come to do something which we have to be attentive, then we realize, yes, we fall short of the mark, and how difficult it is with Maya all around, all the signboards shouting at you, buy me, come to my shop, this, that, and the other. Hare Krishna. Okay, that's probably completely off the track, but it is on the track of keeping focus in our reading. We do want to try to be focused. But we focused on our hearing too, because our reading is our subtle form of hearing. This is the recording, the record of our Guru's words. Yes, Divya. And there are more books to be read, gradually we find out. Yesterday morning, I needed to leave for something which came up. I needed to leave for the reading of the centenary anthology, which we're going through now in the morning, as well as Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so normally if I miss a part, I put the headphones in and I listen to that reading so that I keep up, don't miss any part. And then I go to find where's centenary. Okay, I'll listen to that. It's not recorded. And I was quite surprised it's not recorded, because that also is from it's from the centenary of Guru Maharaj from a long time ago. So the service hasn't ended. There are more things to put into audio books, etc. All going on. And you've got a good reader with you there in the States right now. That is our Veera Chandra Prabhu. He read Inner Fulfillment. If you want to hear him reading in Inner Fulfillment, he read it clearly, with heart, with feeling. That was a nice reading. And he's a devotee. And he read, can I do something? Yes, you read. And he did. Okay, the question in the chat box, and the question in the chat box is Praneshri Devi asking me this question. One of our students is asking why Lakshmi sits on the lap of Lord Nrsingadev. What is the significance? Why does she sit there? What is the mystical background? I've seen deity and paintings and don't know the story.
And this is Chintamani, Didi asking.
Oh, Chinta. Oh, it's Chinta. Oh, yes. Oh, but you're the messenger, so the messenger gets implicated. No, okay, you're not. It's Chintamani asking. Now you're reminding me of something which maybe we've said. I did mention recently somewhere, perhaps in the Back to Basics, of Vidagdha Madhava reading a letter to Guru Maharaj. And then Guru Maharaj blasted Vidagdha Madhava, and Vidagdha Madhava said to Guru Maharaj, it's not It's not me, Guru, it's his letter. And still Guru Maharaj blasting to Vidagdha Madhava, from which we learn that the messenger does get implicated in the question. But I'm sure it's a good question. Okay, it's not Praneshwari's question, it's Chintamani. I'm not implicating you, I'm just remembering something. So from Guru Maharaj and Guru Dev and sharing that. Chintamani Devi Dasi, I encourage you to read with the purpose the Leela of Nrsimhadev, and not just the Leela of him coming out of the pillar, the whole Leela of Nrsimhadev, of Hiranyakashipu, and all the prayers that take place afterwards. And then you may answer the question. I'm not qualified to give esoteric background, mystical meanings. I mean, we can simply say Lakshmi Narayan. Then what's the problem? Lakshmi Narayan. Who is Nrsimhadev? He's a manifestation of Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan. This is their whole relationship.
Raj, may I add something? I heard from Govinda Maharaj. It's a very common question, actually, and quite a few devotees ask Govinda Maharaj about that question. And there cannot be one answer. And really, I am not qualified, but I can just repeat something that I heard from Srila Gurudev on that subject. And he said that when Nrsimhadev appeared, who was there? Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, all the 30, how many are there? 33 million demigods present?
Yes, I think
everyone came. Every single one was present. Then Lakshmi Devi also appeared. And yes, like you mentioned, Lakshmi Narayan. Where there is a Vishnu Narayan form, there is always a Lakshmi nearby. There's no doubt about it. But then Srila Gurudev quoted that verse where Krishna is glorifying Uddhava. He is saying, Uddhava, you're so dear to me. You're more dear to me than Brahma, Shiva, Lakshmi, even myself. I'm not as dear to myself as you dear to me, O Uddhava. So Gurudev is pointing out that in front of everyone assembled there, really, including Lakshmi Devi, who is the center of attention of Lord Narasimhadev? Who is the center of affection and love of Lord Narasimhadev? Prahlad Maharaj, his devotee. He is the dearest. So Lakshmi is present there, but she is also a little bit hesitating. And it is also, she will have described that she has this capacity to cool the heat of Lord Narasimhadev. He is on fire. He is very angry. But again, it's only after Prahlad Maharaj, he is approaching Nrsimhadev and he is glorifying Lord Narasimhadev. Then Lord Narasimha picks him up and starts, like we hear from Govinda Maharaj, also unique. Where else are you going to hear that description? He's licking his Bhakta Prahlad. And he's so happy and ready to give boons. And then Lakshmi becoming seated on his, left lap. Prahlad Maharaj is on the right, Lakshmi is on the left, as far as I remember. So that description I heard once. Very sweet answer. But really, I'm pretty sure there's so many different ways of seeing it.
But she certainly wasn't sitting on his lap at the time of giving extra mercy to Hiranyakashipu. That we can
certainly not. Actually, after Prahlad pacified Nrsimhadev, she is approaching Nrsimhadev.
Hare Krishna. No harm to ask the question. But a lot of these wise. So I see that I thought we were not meant to read the Srimad Bhagavatam because it's too high. Okay, but, fair point, but Srila Prabhupada not only produced the Bhagavatam, but he encouraged the distribution of the Bhagavatam, even though it wasn't that, okay, oh, we can't distribute to this man. It's actually Canto 7 is the Leela of Nrsingadev, is in Canto 7. I mean, extensively, and the prayers, Prahlad Maharaj, wonderful things. But okay, so Srila Prabhupada, he encouraged, I mean, super encouraged the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so they're distributing, you know, the book, part 3, Canto 7, whatever it may be. You know, and it's not that, oh, we can't give the book to that person because they don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, all the way up from the very beginning. But rather, Srila Prabhupada's books, every book is hammering home the basics of Krishna consciousness, as well as what is there, and coming from, as well as what is coming within the text which is there. So always coming to the point of following the 4 principles, chanting Hare Krishna. Don't get involved with the slaughterhouses, that action, reaction. I mean, you're going to get safely Krishna consciousness and the understanding by reading the text with Srila Prabhupada's purports. And I think all devotees, and they are reading and relishing the Bhagavatam, and these, and especially these specific leelas which are repeatedly coming up and which we hear referred to by Guru Maharaj and Gurudev in talks. They're expecting that we know the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsingadev, and you're going to get them fully in Srila Prabhupada's edition of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're not asking to read from any other place, and there we will get safely our understanding. Hare Krishna. But yes, Lakshmi Narayan. So where is Narayan? Lakshmi must be somewhere nearby, but if he's in a bad mood, she may be a little distance away, giving respect from a distance. But when he's in a good mood, he's going to be there with him. And normally we hear sitting on his chest, but there, sitting on his lap, sometimes sitting on his chest. They're not stationary. And sometimes we do get questions about, I mean, it's kind of esoteric things. Why in this picture it is got this way, this picture is that way. But you know, the Lord is moving, and so are his agents. And anyway, we want the very substance of everything. Oh, I have a very good definition. I have a good definition. Okay, writing down with pen and paper also. There's no safe way to write anything down except in our mind. Anyway, I know pretty much the quote. Anyway, this is just some fresh thinking, which was attributed to Guru Maharaj. And honestly, I can't say I've read this or heard this, and maybe some of you can say it is or is not, but attributed to Guru Maharaj, but coming from the mouth of one of our sincere devotees. And that is that what is Sharanagati? What is surrender? And tell me if any of you have actually heard the origin, okay, before. But this is, what is Saranagati actually? It is, quote, just smile and say yes. I'm not sure about that. But I'm sure that that's right. I'm just not quite sure that Guru Maharaj actually said it in the beginning. Now, if you know who I'm quoting, don't get me into trouble, but it's from one of our good devotees. Have any of you heard a tape or read that anywhere from Guru Maharaj? No. Anyway, I think it's a wonderful purport and the way that the devotees have said, but I thought, there we are. What is Sharanagati? Just smile and say yes. Okay, there we are.
Would be a natural conclusion of a devotee after hearing Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, coming
personal realization.
Fresh and coming from the heart. And I can say who it is. I mean, Divya Shakti knows who it is. Who is it, Divya Shakti? And when was it spoken?
I'm not too sure who it is, actually.
Or had you fallen asleep at that time? Well, you were there. It was Sri Lanka yesterday.
Oh, okay.
You were there, and so you were listening to her. Hare Krishna. And Sri Lanka, dear devotees, she gives very sweet, on the ball, pure Krishna consciousness classes. I mean, never any diversion into the, or any unnecessary diversion about the world or anything going on anywhere. So,
but I don't think she was the origin of that.
No, she said that Guru Maharaj said this. She said that, and I made a note for myself. But it's her heart. I'm not doing any criticism. The opposite. I'm very happy, but I'm just not exactly sure that Guru Maharaj said it directly. But her heart has presented in this way. She's heard it in this way, and it's a very nice thing for us to reflect on, because actually,
Maharaj,
smile and say yes is the very mood of Sharanagati. Not, oh, I'm going to do something out of duty and because it's hard. Yes.
When Vyasadeva heard Shukadev Goswami giving Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj and the assembly of all the sages, he was astonished how beautiful it is. But he was the origin. It came through him. Yet, after hearing it from Shukadev Goswami, he said, it's so fresh, so new, so unbelievably astonishing. It's completely captured and captivated myself. And I am the source of that. Because I mean, source is Krishna, of course, but it came through me. So personal realizations of the devotees.
And also when we hear something from a devotee, we want to give like the credits for who we've heard it from. It's not, oh, it's my realization or my thought. We give all credit. The devotees are wonderful at mining gems, going into the mine and taking out the gems and sharing them with us. All right, dear miners, quiet miners and less quiet miners of gems, are all with us here today. So happily with you. And the clock is ticking. And soon our church clock will start ringing again too. Actually, it doesn't start ringing till 7, but the church clock is like Guru Maharaj's clock in Guru Maharaj's room in Navadip. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's room, he had a clock, and you hear on the lectures the chiming, and you can hear 8 o'clock, dong, dong, the chiming. But then Guru Maharaj wanted a clock that didn't chime then in the night. He didn't want it to chime like between 11 o'clock and 3 a.m. or something. So then the devotees got him a clock that didn't chime in the night, which was quite high tech at that time. Now you can have your own clock app which does whatever you want it to do. Dear devotees, wonderful having you all with us. And Nadia Priya Devidasi joined us too in the meantime. And she's in Govinda land in Ukraine. We have many of our devotees, some of our devotees here. But please, everybody, keep a thought for the devotees in Ukraine every day, every moment, with Krishna at the head of in the front of their mind, not in the back of their mind. Surrender under the shelter of the Lord, being positive in Krishna consciousness in every circumstance. We must all learn from the brave devotees taking shelter of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So, Jai Om Vishnupad, wonderful Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, wonderful Srila Bhakti Ropak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. And Jai wonderful Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. All of our worshipful guardian Parampara ki Jai. All of our Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, all the worldwide devotees ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari
Hari
Hari.
Hari Bol.
Jai Shri Bhakti Ramja Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Yakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. All right, devotees, have a wonderful day. In remembrance of the great fortune we all have, let us utilize our fortune nicely. Chant Hare Krishna, be happy, and avoid the 10 offenses to the holy name. Follow humility, tolerance, giving honor to others without wanting honor for oneself. That's all we have to do. So simple. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.